Hi, I'm Christie Bemis, and I am your host for Authentic AF Conversations with People in the Ignite Your Life classroom with Christie Bemis. And I'm here as a psychotherapist, a sex educator, and a relationship expert. My true passion in life is to guide you to have deeper connections, stronger ways of communicating with each other, and more intimacy in your life. And each of my guest speakers are here because they feel as passionate about their topic to enhance your relationships as I do. So, welcome. Sit back, grab a journal, grab a pen, because this isn't your normal podcast. This is not just a sit and get. This is a classroom to enhance your experience. There'll be journaling prompts, guided experiences, questions to ponder, and more. So, welcome to Authentic AF Conversations.
I'm so excited to be here this morning with my special guest and friend, Stephanie Shanks, and welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
I love both of our backdrops. Like here I am by a cozy, where am I? By my cozy fire. And then there you are in your vast, expansive view that you have.
It's very different, but it's also very vibey at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it kind of reflects us too, like who we are as women. So welcome to my authentic AF conversations that I love to have with people that I think really hold a special place in this world. And I know you do. I've been on your show twice, so it's great for you to come and be a guest on mine. And today we're just going to have a conversation about what authenticity means to each of us. And by the time we're done talking today, listeners can hopefully have some tools and tips and even just maybe be touched by a story that resonates for them. So that's my goal and objective with these conversations. And first, I just want to introduce you as one, my friend, but also a portrait photographer here in central Wisconsin area. And you really specialize in women 40 and above, which and 50 and above, making them feel beautiful and seen. I can't wait. I'm going to be doing my photo shoot with you in February. So I'm super excited to get some updated photos and really like feel into what this next decade of authenticity shows up as when I'm being photographed. You're also the podcast host and creator of Unwritten with Steph. And so welcome. And what else do you want to share about yourself that I might have missed in that little brief introduction of you?
I think that you did a great job. And, part of my journey has always been being a mom. It's
Mm.
being a mom. I started really young. I had twins at 16, and I'm 45 now. So it's just such a huge part of everything, like my thoughts, my drive, my all of it. All of it is because of my children.
Yeah. So how many children do you have now?
I have 3 kids,
Mm.
27-year-old twins and 18-year-old. And I also have 4 stepkids from a previous marriage. And kids are just everything.
Yeah.
It's everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's dive in then around because you mentioned that as like a big piece of your identity and who you describe yourself to be. 16 and having twins.
Yeah.
What do you want to share about that?
I think that making really, really hard choices early on in life for me, and also then shifting to making choices for my children. I honestly, when we talk about authenticity, I think that authenticity is making those really hard choices in life and
Mhm.
moving through them and knowing that even though things are hard, decisions can be hard, life can be really hard, and you don't know where to turn, you can always turn back inside
Mm.
and find a peace to keep going. And I think that life lesson, learning that so young, is has really shaped me.
What kind of supports did you have being that young?
I didn't have, I should say, physically, I had a lot of help from my parents.
Okay.
Um, but mentally and socially I didn't. There was a lot of isolation, a lot of feelings of abandonment going through that at such a young age that
Yeah.
it was really difficult. I didn't have any peers to relate to. I lived out in the country and having twins, and one has cerebral palsy, so taking them someplace was very difficult, and yeah, pretty it was kinda lonely and scary,
Yeah.
and I fight with that same feeling all the time, and I always have to remind myself, "Okay, that's old trauma."
It is. Yeah. Yeah. That is a lot. I mean, when you think about being a young teen mom, that's one thing in and of itself, and how it others you from your peers, and whether during a time where you just want to fit in, right? You just want to fit in. How it others you, but then on top of it, to have twins, and then on top of that, to have a child with special needs and caretaking, and
Yeah,
then you're living out in the country. So how does that shape you now? Like that's a resilient story too.
it shapes me now because don't I don't ever question myself. I always
Mm.
know that I have myself to come back to, and I've created systems in place that in the uncertainty of life, I can come back to.
I really call it, like, when I work with people in psychotherapy, I really call it kind of having like a sense of safety inside.
I have a sense of safety inside for sure.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah.
So you can like carry it around with you all the time, and it's there and available to you. Yeah, I often share a story around that where I took myself camping. And though I was at a campground, I was in a very outer circle all by myself. And part of the whole thing of taking myself camping for a couple nights was to find that safety inside, that I'm safe. I'm here in my tent. My car is literally 20 feet away. And if I need to, I'll go. But what can I do regarding my breath and my mindset, and uh, having a little control over my body, of like finding safety inside. And I carry that moment with me of like listening to the owls and the coyotes, and like shuffling too close to my tent by probably a raccoon, but developing that safety inside, and how we can carry that then with us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. And I
Yeah.
do like to challenge myself within that as well. I love camping by myself. I've traveled.
Do you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
I have no problems. I always thought I had a problem being alone,
yeah.
but I realize I don't. I've always found a lot of peace on the road by myself.
Yeah. Yeah. And so when you think about a lot of the women that are listening to this, because I move in circles around entrepreneurship women, when you think of your road to being an entrepreneur, working for yourself, being a portrait photographer, how has some of that helped you in that journey?
Yeah. It's funny because I remember when I first started photography and I was just so afraid of being judged. Like my work wasn't good enough, quitting my job. I was a massage therapist, quitting my job and like really diving full into being a entrepreneur and a photographer. Like all of those little tiny micro challenges, just it was like flexing a muscle, a courage muscle that, even to this day I have to remind myself that it's a muscle and I can't stay. When things are hard, when I'm sick and all of a sudden I haven't posted in 10 days and, all these things that we do that we're supposed to be doing and you're not doing it, it's like, it's going to be okay. There's
Yeah.
good times and there's bad times and you're going to get back on it. And I do.
Yeah. So being a little bit more compassionate with how you talk to yourself, and the pressures that you put yourself through.
Yeah, for sure. And honestly, it's not that easy. It's you always have to catch it. I don't always, when I'm on autopilot and then all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, why am I even thinking that? Like, this is so not productive right now. And just always knowing that my thoughts are never really working for me. I have to check them.
Yeah. Thoughts really dictate like their habits. And what's interesting is when you start shifting your mindset, which I think women entrepreneurs, moms, all the roles we play, we have to shift our mindset. And what's interesting is we've created it, right? It's not like it's beamed into our heads from like some alien life force. We're creating our reality. And so it's coming from that place of empowerment of just like we're creating it, we can recreate it. We can
Yeah.
shift it.
Yeah. Yeah. I actually had this thought last week when I was sick because I just had a lot of time to think that our
Mhm.
thoughts are either causing conflict or resolution. Like, and if I'm feeling chaos and conflict in my mind, okay, what is that and how can I switch it to something that's going to be more productive and positive, even if it's just like going for a walk. Doesn't have
Yeah.
to be like, oh, I got to work on my business because I haven't. It's more like, okay, what do I need so that my thought processes are working with me? Like we're a
Yeah.
group, we're family.
Yeah. And I always talk to women a lot about when they're in entrepreneurial journeys about being their own best boss. And like even when we're employed by other people and we're working for other people and we're working to create like their dreams or their metrics or goals, right? We expect our boss to give us time off. We expect our boss to understand when we're not working at 100% full capacity. Yet when we're our own boss, we can be our worst possible nightmare. And so how do you become that boss for yourself in entrepreneurial endeavors that you wish you would have had in order to create a good, positive working environment? So what are some of the main things that you do to self-care? I know you started out the year sick, and so life
Yeah.
landed you on your butt for a couple. I did the same. The week of like coming into the new year, I was sick and I was like, okay, my body is telling me I just needed downtime and to Netflix binge and let it go. Let it go, Christy. It's gonna be okay. What are some of the things that you do to be your own best boss and to really take care of yourself and stay in that authenticity of like who you are?
Well, first off, I will self-sabotage. That's always like the first part of like, okay, I'm sad, I'm depressed, this sucks, blah blah blah. I let myself do that.
Okay.
My little wine fest.
Let
And
yourself sit there.
I sit there and stew for a while until I'm like the conscious part of me is like, okay, girlfriend, like what do you need? Yeah, it does because I'm a big hiker and
Mm,
this winter has not been ideal for hiking. It's been too much snow, it's been icy, it's been cold, then it got muddy and I was upset about that and why do I live here, blah blah blah. And then I always pick myself back up and the first thing I always do is I just close my eyes and I take some nice deep breaths and I breathe right into my heart and I
mm,
just allow myself that space. And from there, everything quiets and I can decide what do I need. And it has been Netflix binging because I have been
yeah.
really sick and it's crappy outside again. Or it's actually a beautiful day today, but whatever it is, I try to work out every morning. But again, sometimes life throws you things and or work gets really busy, but I can always,
Yeah.
like I said, I can always go back into that space and take some nice deep breaths and figure out what the next step is.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. And for a while there, I was doing like some half marathon training like 2 years ago. And there were times where, because of the stress that was happening in my life, the last thing my body needed was a run or a workout. And so, like, permissioning myself of it's okay to not go do that today and push yourself even further and more adrenaline. And what you need is rest and relaxation. And when I do work with like inner child healing, I call it reparenting ourselves. Like, if your kid came in and they were in pain or overwhelmed, you would say, rest, relax. You would be the best parent to them. So how do we like reparent ourselves and say, maybe take a nap, drink more water, whatever that is.
Yeah. I think this has actually been the first time that in my life that I've allowed myself to Netflix binge and just be
Yeah.
okay with it. Yeah. I've never, I've always just been like, go, go, go. And if you're not being productive, like you can always be productive. There's always something to do, right? But I think that's
Hmm.
from my farming roots. I grew up on a farm and
Of course. Yeah.
there was always things to do and we were always busy and TV just wasn't really a thing.
It really is a Midwest, like work ethic kind of thing. I know I grew up in a very blue collar. My dad was a pipe fitter. I don't recall him ever calling in sick. And so it really is this mindset around you need to be productive. The client just came in the other day and said, if my mom used to say, if you have time to lean, you have time to clean. And it's such like this Midwest, like, do, be a human doing, you know? And what you're saying is a key to it is just being a human being, which is Netflix binging. You're just being, you're not producing anything. You're being a consumer of something. And that's
Receiving.
completely okay. Receiving. Yeah, it's hard to receive, isn't it? Especially you sound like you're very self reliant, very independent. You kind of had to be, it sounds like, at a very early age to be a mom of these two kids already, right? At 16. And so there is this mindset of uber independence. And so what makes it difficult to receive, and what is some of the work that you've done around that?
Receiving is the hardest.
It is so hard. I agree. I agree. I came home yesterday. I drove from Madison up to our Northwoods property where we do retreats up here. And my partner had dinner for me. Like it was beautiful dinner too. It wasn't just like dinner. It was like black squid ink pasta with clams and crusty bread. It was like beautiful. And I could feel it. Like I'm not ready to eat right away, or I was like blocking that receiving of like, did he put the anchovies in the sauce? I don't know if he did it right. Like I could feel that voice of blocking the receiving. And so what is the work that you've done around receiving and being that vessel of like care from others?
Yeah, it's I have to constantly remind myself that it's okay to receive. It's it's trust. It's trusting that I don't have to be completely well, first off, there's no such thing as like everything's gonna everything's only gonna happen if I do it. That's a belief
Correct.
that is an old program. So by kind of when I do get sick, I get really sick because I
Mm.
push off and I push off and I push off. So it's an ongoing challenge and that's all I have to say about it. I understand like that's my biggest work I have to do is to allow people in because people hurt me. That's the old program
Yeah.
that people that let you down, people hurt you, and I hold so tightly onto everything that I've built because I'm afraid that it's going to go away. And that fear in itself is not a great, it's not how you should live your life. It's in fear of everything going away. You should be excited and trusting that it's going to be so much better than you can imagine.
Yeah. That fear though comes from that little part of us, right? That little person part of us of like maybe we didn't get our needs met, or maybe something happened where we couldn't trust. And so we've built up kind of this armor of distrust, or uber, I call it like uber independence. I was journaling on it this morning. Like, why was it so hard to walk into this beautiful dinner that was prepared for me when there's nothing more than I want is for my lover to like prepare a beautiful meal for me? And the old stories, I think, for me are only I can make the food correct. Like I'm a really good cook, and so only I can make it like the correct way. But that's true about other things too. Only I can do it correctly, and there's this like right way to do it. And that is an old story, right? Because there's lots of ways to do it. There's lots of ways to make linguine clam sauce. There's lots of ways to have, something done.
Yeah. And I completely understand that. And I think because I'm so critical of myself, again, the old programming, that I'm unfortunately like fairly critical of other people, but it's not necessarily that I think someone else can't make the clam sauce better. It's just like, well, if I don't do it, it's not going to get done,
Oh, yeah.
And so like that's always playing in there too. Like, I don't know. It is
Yeah.
being a human is difficult and conflicting. And at the end of the day, 15 years from now, I just want to be, on a beach somewhere with the person that I'm supposed to be with. And I
Mhm.
know that the guy I'm with now is equally ambitious and determined to do what it takes for himself as I
Mhm.
am to do what it takes for myself, so that we can get through all this old shit that we put on ourselves. And I think that's really helpful to have another person in your life journey that wants to do the work.
I think it's critical. I've done couples work for over 2 decades now. And the one difference between couples that make it and they don't, the key secret is, can both people self reflect? Can both people be willing to say, there's parts of me that need healing? There's parts of me that are contributing to the problem. And so these are the parts that I'm going to own and hold myself accountable for. And so I call it like the ability to self reflect. And it sounds like you found a partner who has that. I would love to hear a story from you of when you did surrender, because I think receiving takes surrender.
Yeah.
When you received something and what it took for you to really receive that. Do you have a story like that pops to mind? I'm putting you on the spot.
Yeah. Now, the thing that comes to mind that I did last summer when I was single is I allowed myself to go to Devil's Lake every night and go swimming at like 8 p.m. Like all the cars are leaving. I'm the only one driving in with the dog. And I just let myself just float in the water and I let it hold me.
Total surrender.
Total surrender.
What did it feel like in your body?
It felt like I was a little kid again.
Yeah, I love that.
And I felt so grateful that I was in that moment at 44 years old, that I could just take myself self swimming.
I love that.
And the sunset, the cloud, it was, always dark by the time I left. So I'd watch the sunset from the water and, just like, yeah, just receive the goodness of this world.
Yeah, and if people don't know the beauty of Devil's Lake, if you're listening from other parts of the world, it is a joyous, gorgeous, natural wonder to visit. I mean, in and of itself, it's just this most beautiful, pristine lake, I feel like, and the water just feels special when you're in it. And yeah, you're just kind of cocooned.
Yeah.
Are you kind of a water person? Like, is water important? I know I'm a water person. I have to like be by water, live by water. When I go visit places like Vegas, let's say, I'm just like, what are you people going to do when the water runs out? Like, I can
Yeah.
feel that in my body. And so I live by water. I also love to do evening to late night to night swims. I love to take my boat out onto Lake Monona and just like float and jump in the water at night. And it's just a special thing.
Yeah. 100%. Whenever I'm planning my camping trips, it's got to be by water.
Yeah.
But we're so lucky we have the Great Lakes so close.
Yeah.
Honestly close. How much better I can feel so quickly.
Yeah. Yeah. It is nice to come home when you're traveling, to come home to like that feeling of surrounded by water. At least it is for me.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about relationship journey then. So you have this healing summer, you're floating, you're taking such good care and you're learning the art of surrendering so that you can be good at receiving. What does it take for you to find relationship joy?
I think it's an understanding of, I think, just being listened to and being heard. And, there's something when this summer when I was on my own and really thinking about what I wanted in a partner, like a real partner, I really wanted somebody that I could explore what it meant to be human with,
Hmm.
because being human is complex, but there's also the sexual, like rawness, animalistic feeling of two people coming together in a
Hmm.
way that there's no boundaries and just seeing what we can create together.
Hmm.
I think that was something I had really missed. And I'm sure it goes back to just not having like those experiences younger, or like sex obviously led to twins, and just healing that divine feminine inside of me
Mm.
and exploring that with somebody else. I think it really has helped me let my guard down.
Yeah, and I think you said something really important in there that when we're taught as women that sex is not for us or that it leads to difficulties or struggles or challenges like having a pregnancy, then that messaging becomes sex is not for us
Yeah.
because it'll lead to these outcomes. And so I think there is, I was talking to, and I'm going to have her on as a guest in the future, a menopause expert, and talking about the aging process and why are so many women having like this sexual awakening in their 40s and 50s. And often I think there's been an old wives' tale, and I think it's true, of women peak in their 40s. And she was talking to me about the amygdala, and she'll come on and be a better, more eloquent guest than I can say her word. But she was really talking about how the amygdala, which is responsible for our fight, flight, or freeze response, how as we age, it it's not as active in women. It calms down a little bit. And that would explain things like as you're empty nesting and your role as mom is coming to a close if you choose as a woman to be a mom, right? Or you're chosen to be a mom. All that's coming to a close. And so a great part of even joyous stress, because can be joyous stress and difficult stress, that goes away. And so there's this calmness that can happen in our life, and life becomes again about us. And so do you find that you just had your youngest turn 18?
Yeah, I turned 18 on December 18th, just
What was that
less than
like
a
for
month
you?
ago. Oh my God, I thought I'd never experienced heartbreak like that. I was looking
Mm.
at other women that have gone through it with their kids, and I was like, how do we survive? How are they still alive? Like, I don't know if I can make it through this.
Yeah.
So
Because why?
I was
Because
heartbroken.
your role is gone and
Yeah, like I said, being a mom has been like the biggest piece of me. And
uh-huh.
you couple that with a fear, a very realistic fear of losing things.
Yeah.
So to me, my response was that I was losing something that was very important to me. And I didn't know how to process that. And I wasn't exactly prepared for those feelings.
Yeah.
I worked through it. And the day of his birth.
And you're still going to, because it just happened in December
Yeah.
18th. He just
Yeah.
turned 18. You're in the thick of the journey of working through it. Yeah.
Yeah. But by the time his birthday came, like because it's just him and I. His dad has not been in his life forever.
Uh-huh.
We just had a great day together, and I just appreciate him as an adult now. And my role
Yeah.
actually hasn't changed whatsoever. Like I'm still picking up, after him, when he cooks cookies at 2 a.m. And And nothing's changed, but everything's changed, right? Like
It
everything's changed
is.
since
I
we've
mean,
been
my
together.
youngest is 23 now, and my oldest is 30. And he's married and on his own, and she's with a partner and on her own. And so, yeah, nothing has changed and everything changes. I mean, I'm still, on speed dial if either of them ever need it. But man, you got a lot of time. And I always talk to women about mama's got to get a life. Like, what are you doing? And so for me, it was putting some of my energy into entrepreneurship stuff, but I also needed to put my energy into dating and relationship energy again, and finding things that fulfilled me, like decorating or like playing the ukulele or painting, or we have to end cultivating female friendships. That's been huge. Like especially this last year or so is cultivating collaboration, cultivating female friendships. And so I think we need to triage our empty nesting sometimes and really make sure that we're taking good care of ourselves too. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a journey and it's going to continue. Our relationship, like him and I have had a difficult relationship
Mm.
because of his dad and some of the abuse that we both went through. And it's a really beautiful thing that we have become so close because there was a point where I didn't know if we'd
Yeah.
be close. I didn't know if he would even stick around and yeah, I'm
Mhm.
excited to see where he goes because cool guy.
Yeah. And you know what? I just want to say this for the moms out there too. And the only reason I know this is because I'm a psychotherapist, and so I study things, right? They're supposed to developmentally have angst with us. They're supposed to rebel against us. They're supposed to, even at certain points of their life developmentally, not even like us a whole lot, because it's called individuation, and it's something we all went through with our parents. If you think back to how you felt about your parents from the age of maybe like 15 to 25, there's a lot of extreme highs and lows in that, because you're trying to figure out who I am outside of this family I was raised in. Do I have the same values that they have? Okay, if I don't have the same values, then what are they? And so it's a big searching time. And I just, for all the moms out there, like breathe, breathe through that conflict, breathe through, because it's not about you, it's about their journey. And you want them to kind of rebel or call you out on some things. And some of what I've been called out on as a mom have been true. And I'm like, oh, you hit the nail on the head. That is totally true about myself. Shit, I got to work on that.
Yeah.
But some of the things I've been called out on by my own kids as a mom is not true. I know it's not true, and I just need to breathe and understand, that's their lens, that's their perspective, that's how they're seeing me right now. And through growth, maybe I'll be seen differently.
Yeah. And there's nothing you can do until they're ready to see it. I know I struggle a lot with my older kids because of, having them so young and living with my parents and how my parents treated me as a young mom who is responsible,
Mhm.
and they always had such a pull on my kids, and they still do. So I've always had to understand and develop a relationship with them that involves my parents so heavily,
Yeah.
and understand like that's not something that I would want, but it's something that is. It just is. And it's
Mhm.
not good or bad. And I have to remind myself of that too, because when you think when your kids don't like you,
Yeah.
like if your kids don't like you, then what? Like, what did I do to make this happen? And it's like, well, it just is. There's no, what are you gonna do? It is.
Yeah, I know for me, when I've gone through times like that, I've allowed space, and like, just, I don't have to fix this right now. I'm in this for the long game. But I've also thought, what are the things that I do have control over? And what I do have control over in that situation is I can show up how I want to in love, even if they're not willing to receive it or accept it right now. So I still we'll drop a dinner off if, we're going through something, or send a text reminding, like, hey, I'm here. Love you. Don't forget about me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do that with my stepkids too. I send
Yeah.
messages three or four times a year. One of them I'm still close to because he's the same age as my son, so they're buddies. But yeah, just say, don't forget about me. I love you. If you need
Yeah.
anything, I'm here.
Yeah. So when you say you don't have control over, the other person, but you have control over how you are going to show up. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I hope that's a beautiful conversation for other women that are out there going through emptiness. Cause I think a lot of times what we see out there is like the family pictures of the perfect holiday in front of the tree, matching clothes and things like that. But what we don't see as women, we don't share the really real, raw, vulnerable, hey, I'm going through that too kind of stories. And so I hope that if this resonates for somebody out there, like, reach out and tell us, that feels like, okay, I'm not in this alone. This is hard. And there's actually a great book out there. Tina Gilbert's, and my sister-in-law actually gave it to me during a time where I was struggling. And she talks about in that book around estranged adult children. And it's really fascinating. It's like a really interesting read around what causes estrangement or discord or cutoffs or times where there's more strain, and what can you do about it, and what perspective do you need to like shift and see differently. So it was a really empowering book for me that I would recommend.
Yeah, I'll check it out for sure because
Yeah.
there's just a lot of times what I'm going through. I have friends, but sometimes we're going through similar things, but it's always just nice to read a book or listen to a podcast of actual experts that have done the research. And
Yeah. Yeah. Well, if you had to define for yourself what authenticity means to you as we kind of wrap up our time together, how would you describe what authenticity means?
I think it's authenticity is going through life on your own terms and being okay with those terms. Things aren't always going to work out right, and we there's no crystal ball that's going to tell us which way to go, but just to always be able to come back to yourself and know it's going to be okay and know you're a good person.
Mm.
I think that's always a struggle too. For a lot of women is we judge ourselves by the things we haven't done, not by the things that we have done.
Mhm.
So there's authenticity is a good word.
Yeah. Yes, I like the word. I always describe it as like authenticity is when our behaviors align with like our desires and our values, then we're living authentically. And I think that's why, the entrepreneurial journey that you've taken, being a portrait photographer and capturing mostly women, I would assume,
Yeah, I definitely.
behind the lens, you're like capturing their authenticity, like who they are. And there's like power in that. I know when I've been photographed before, it's the process of getting ready to be photographed, the process of being photographed, and then the process of looking at your photos.
Yeah.
And that is where like the authenticity, when you actually are looking at the finished product that you've created with them, it's like, oh, I look like that. Okay. It's really powerful.
It is. And I know that the more I step into my power, the more powerful my portraits become of other people.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like my work has changed. I love it when women just show up and they're just ready, and they're ready because I'm ready.
Yeah.
I'm really super blessed. Yeah.
Yeah. It's great. I can't wait for our time together in February when you
I know.
photograph me and, yeah, capture authenticity. So thank you so much for having just a beautiful and lovely conversation with me. And your presence for me is like always so grounding and peaceful and like sure. So how did it feel being on this end of the interview? Because usually you're interviewing people.
It, it's really fun. It's very vulnerable.
It
And
is.
but I enjoy it. I really enjoy you and our conversation
Yeah.
that we've had. So I feel great.
Yeah. Well, thank you for being my guest. And I feel like women learn through their stories with one another. And so thanks for sharing your stories with us today. I
Thank you.
appreciate you.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate
Yeah, absolutely.